Have you ever noticed that people with a lot of pain and a lot of trauma, they're drawn to the helping professions like doctors, therapists, social workers, and attorneys like myself? I've also noticed in my research that people that have a lot of pain, and not always, they're drawn to positions of power. And they're not always the kindest people, but if they would do this one thing, they would actually go on to be great leaders and transform the people that they're trying to help. First, it's noble for people who have this pain and have this trauma to want to help people. And so I really want to acknowledge that. And I'm no different. I was raised by an abusive father. My father was abusive mentally, spiritually, physically abusive to me and my five older sisters. And we all had to deal with that trauma in our different ways. Some of us, unfortunately, my brother, he took his life. My sister had so much trauma from my father's abuse. Eventually, she died early. And this is adverse childhood experiences. I dealt with a lot of adversity, but I was like you. I took my pain and I actually started working on success. I said, okay, well, I can take all of this and go help everybody in the world. But no one ever told me that I had what's called a deep pain body. And because I'm not recognizing this pain body and doing something to heal it, I would never, ever effectively help the people that I was trying to help until I recognize it in myself. And you know who I learned that from? Eckhart Tolle. Anybody ever read this book by Eckhart Tolle called A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose? This book has changed my life. It has changed my life. And I thought, why doesn't anyone know about this information? So, what I want to do today is I want to spend some time educating you on what he talks about when it comes to a pain body. He says that in order to effectively lead and awaken your life purpose, is you have to know that you have this pain body. And when you know that you have this pain body and you do the work to heal it, those are the individuals who go on to become the wisest, most enlightened people, and they make the biggest change and have the biggest impact in the world. But first, let me read you a little bit from his book. Okay, Eckhart Tolle goes on to say that your story consists not only of mental, but also emotional memory, old emotion that is being revived continuously. And individuals who do this, they carry a large amount of unnecessary baggage, both mental and emotional, throughout their lives. They limit themselves through grievances, regret, hostility, and guilt. Their emotional thinking has become their self. And so they hang on to these old emotion because it strengthens their identity. Isn't that so good? And because of the human tendency to perpetuate old emotions, almost everyone carries in his or her energy field an accumulation of old pain, which Eckhart Tolle calls your pain body. I mean, take a moment to think about that, right? Like if I didn't have my identity to hold on to, the pain that I associated with my father and the abuse that we all had, if I don't talk about that, then what do I talk about? To justify why I do what I do. And until you actually know how to release that, you aren't going to be effective because you got to carry that around. And how heavy is that, right? And then because you haven't released that pain body and forgiven that, how can you actually go on to tell other people to do the same? Instead, what you're telling people is you're justified to stay in your pain and you're justified to talk about it all the time and perpetuating more of that. So you never ever really release the suffering. You never become free because that is your identity. How deep is that? And so you never learn how to self regulate. You never learn how to become emotionally free. And you never go on to actually breaking generational trauma and generational legacy that causes a negative impact in your life. And this is what I want you to work on. And this is going to help you to become the best healer, the best leader, and the most effective helper. So, how are we going to get there? This is where the work comes in, right? And here's what I want you to know. If you take the same amount of time and effort that it took for you to be able to get your college degree or your master's degree, your PhD, or your license to practice law or become a doctor, if you took the same amount of time that it took you to get that education and you put it on yourself, you will see a big change. You will change in so many deep ways that your entire perspective on wealth, like not just riches, not just dollars, but the wealth that you're going to infuse into your family, into your life, will grow exponentially. I've also found that individuals who have this deep pain body have a really difficult time having good, positive relationships, right? They are adversaries to the people that they live with, their spouse, their kids, and they're always, because what are they doing? They're justifying their pain. And so therefore, they cannot have good quality, healthy, nourishing relationships because they're so busy with the pain body identification. So doing this work will shift your whole entire perspective on relationships and your health. I mean, duh, your health will get better. You will lower your blood pressure. You will have a sense of peace within your heart. You will find yourself dealing with the blockages in your heart. You will want to drink more water. You will want to live with a healthier outlook. Your mental health will shift exponentially. So, everything that we're saying is going to help you. And because you have the education, it's going to go on to help others. So, let me give you some tips and some ideas that you first need to do in your life. So, the first thing you need to do is identify with the fact that you have this pain body. The first step in any change is recognizing that you have this. The second thing, I want you to pick up this book, Eckhart Tolle's book called A New Earth. I also want to challenge you to pick up my book, right? My book is called Inspiration in My Shoes. And it is a story about my life, but it's more than a story of talking about my pain body. It talks about how I began to shift out of that. And one of the biggest things that I want you to go to is the F word. And the F word is forgiveness. Forgiveness. And I want to close by reading to you what Eckhart Tolle talks about being the biggest perpetrator of evil. Some of you think that the biggest perpetrator of evil is a person or it's an institution. The biggest perpetrator of evil, it's your decision to stay unconsciousness. And the victor is forgiveness. Forgiveness, that's the F word that I'm talking about. It's your forgiveness. Once you begin to forgive yourself and you forgive others, then your pain body, your victim identity, it dissolves. And then you start moving into the present moment and you begin to shift everything. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. You will hear, if you read my book, you will notice that I talk about forgiving my father. I talk about forgiving people who've hurt me. I talk about how I shift out of that pain body into the present moment and healing and really being the most amazing leader and the most amazing helper. I want you to have that. And this is specifically for corporate women who are struggling. And it can help anyone, but I'm specifically talking to my corporate women. I'm specifically talking to the Black women that I know who have high caliber positions, that if you just do this one thing, identify that pain body and forgive, you'll change your life. So please pick up my book, Inspiration in My Shoes. Give a shout out to Eckhart Tolle. Pick up his book too, and let's start working on this together. All right, follow me for more.